Hey Hickok 45, guess what we're going to do? Finally, after 2 or 3 years of requests, a 1911 cleaning video. We've done a disassembly video, but we've not cleaned one for you. A lot of requests to do that. John and I shot this about 1.5 boxes worth, 60, 70 rounds worth, and took my ears off, and we're just going to work on this gun. This is a Series 80 Colt 1911. Had this for quite a while. Nice gun, I enjoy it. And that's the magazine out. Now before we start, let's make sure there's nothing in it, because this process, you really do put your fingers up in front of the muzzle and everything else. It's definitely clear, no doubt about it. Okay, I'm 100% positive. So what I do, and there's different ways to go about it, but I cock it and put the safety up, the thumb safety, engage that, and turn it up. And I want to depress the recoil spring plug here, because you have to do that, take pressure off the barrel bushing to turn it. Now, it will mainly, you want to turn it. See, it won't really go, that'd be counterclockwise. You want to turn it clockwise to the left, more or less, okay, clockwise. That releases this plug with lots of pressure from the recoil spring. Now there's no pressure on anything. All right, then I go back down here, take the safety off. I bring this back. You have to line up the slide lock, serration there, with this little bitty cutout in the slide. You see that? I'll move it forward. It's just a little bitty cutout, and that will allow this to come forward. Now I'm going to flip it over slowly, and you see the button. You push on that, which does no good unless this is lined up. See? And that releases it. Okay? Slide lock is out. And now there's nothing to lock the slide. Slide lock is gone. All right, yeah, look at all that carbon. Wow. So then what I do, again, we're doing what I do. Whether you like it or not, this is what I do. You might have a different approach to it. So I take all the little parts out, recoil spring, guide rod, and barrel bushing, plug, the slide lock, and my normal operation here, since they're dirty, they get carbon on them, I just soak them down. Don't soak the spring down. Wouldn't hurt it, I guess, but I just don't do that. I usually take this out. Sometimes I don't. I haven't shot it a lot. It's not really that dirty, that part, because I didn't shoot it quite enough to get filthy. Okay, and these are all these contact parts, and I like to get plenty of lube on them and cleaner, because it just kind of coats it, seals it. It ends up slicker even when the lube is off. So we've talked about that before. How the lube I use, Ballistol, kind of cures things, and even when it's dry, so to speak, of lube, you have a lubricating property there. Okay, same with the barrel, of course. In fact, the most important thing. You see that? Isn't that lovely? Okay, what I do, get it over here, and again, I spray it liberally. I do the same thing in my work shed, in my workbench in there. I've got a wood like this, 2x4s, and I don't worry about it. Ballistol is good for wood, so it just doesn't matter. And I just soak it. I don't even put a patch through it. It's just soaking. All right. Now, depending on what I've been shooting, if I've been shooting nothing but lead cast bullets, I might let it soak longer and let it take effect a little bit longer. I shot some lead here, and I shot some jacketed rounds too. So leading shouldn't be any kind of issue, but if it is, I'll let it soak a little bit longer, and it will release that as well. And then I go in here, in the front part of this is kind of a truism, I guess, about any semi-automatic, at least for me. I will take the front of the slide, let gravity be my friend, and do kind of the same thing. I don't worry about getting too much. I just go ahead and soak it down in there where it gets filthy. And if we'd shot it a couple hundred times, it'd be even dirtier. And I just let it soak. You get that good Ballistol on those rails and in there in the grooves, and does nothing but good stuff. And don't worry about it hitting the table. Not a big deal. And I'll just dip some in there even. And now I'm careful about working back here on the slide. Sometimes I'll just use alcohol. It just depends how bad it is. This isn't so bad. I didn't even bring any alcohol out. So I'll use kind of a damp Q-tip, maybe get the worst of it off back there. This gun would shoot who knows how many more rounds if I did nothing to it, but I tend to just go ahead and clean them. If I'm finished shooting it, firing it, I'm going to put it away, who knows, I might not get it out for a few months. So I go ahead and pretty well give it a good cleaning job. And for some reason I feel like I didn't. I was in a rush. It was really late at night. We just finished up a video or whatever. I make a mental note of that, and I get it out the next day or two and give it a more thorough cleaning. So I'm using a pipe cleaner here. You notice I'm getting down in that that groove there. See, because I'm trying not to use too much ballast or oil, lube, or anything in there. You notice I didn't just soak that down, just like I do my Glock. You know, you've seen the Glock cleaning video. This rear part of the slide, I'm more careful because you got your firing pin block right there, and obviously it depresses in order for the gun to fire. And you could get lube down in there into the firing pin channel and all that, and it attracts dirt. Yeah, just not ideal. Probably work a long time with some in there, but it attracts dirt. Okay, so see, that's pretty clean there. And then this back part of the slide, I'll have some ballastol too, some lube. Make sure when I feel like it's pretty well clean enough for me, I'll make sure I've got those rails or that groove back there, with some in it. And so I didn't just dump it in there. All right, now what I'll do for the face here, the bolt face, is I'll take usually, depends how dirty it is, I've got a wire brush or a brass bristle brush, and I hit it with that quite often, and that'll really get the carbon off. I don't like to put the lube right there because that's going to can go right back into the firing pin channel, So you get the carbon off there. Often I don't even use the brass bristles. I just use a regular cleaning brush, some kind, toothbrush. Just make sure that's clean. Behind that extractor, I like to make sure that extractor is free, moving freely, And so, you can just depends how dirty it is, how obsessive you are, right? And you could use a little lube. You could use some alcohol right here. If I wanted to feel a lot better about it, and I knew I wasn't going to touch it for a long time, or I was going to be carrying it, and it had been very, very, very dirty, I'd be dipping this maybe in some alcohol and just cleaning that really well. And of course it evaporates and doesn't leave anything there, but that's pretty good right there. That's pretty good. Okay. And then I have my patches, so I might dampen a patch there just to make certain that just all that part around there, just carefully, a little ballastol, a little cleaner. As I get closer to the firing pin in that area, I'm just a little bit more careful with it. And I'll just drench it like I do down here. There's nothing down here that I'm going to hurt. Okay, not at all really. And then I'll use Q-tips with the little grooves there where the barrel locks up. Perfect. Okay, now I'm just mainly trying to get the dirt out. There's not a lot of dirt, but you can see it's kind of dirty. And then I want those to lube though. I want oil in there. A 1911 is a little bit like an AR-15. It does run better if it's well lubed. So almost better to be over lubed, as long as you're not soaking the rear of the slide. That's my feeling about it. Okay, and of course we're clean, not that bad up here, and looking pretty good. All right, now I'll get a piece of paper towel or something just to make sure it's pretty clean on the outside of it and everything. You want your gun to look good, so you want it to be clean outside and in. The inside is maybe most important in a lot of ways. But then if you've got grit on the outside of it and you're putting in and out of a holster, you end up scratching the bluing or wearing it a little bit more. So get that clean. And I'm kind of drying it off now. So actually right now, that slide is in good shape. Maybe not lubed enough. So before I put it back together, and I may just go ahead and do a little bit, I'll put a little bit more on it, just as a final touch there in the grooves and the rails, where that contacts, because I want it to be well lubed. I like a little lube up front there. Okay, and we're probably in pretty good shape. Let's hit that Q-tip and make sure we've got lube back here. And then of course we're in pretty good shape. I can lubricate the rails here and take care of that kind of. You notice how dirty that gets, the ramp. I usually spray a little bit there and then wipe that down. Definitely want that ramp clean. If you don't do anything else, if for some reason you were firing your 1911 and I don't know, you're visiting a friend and it's your carry gun, and I mean, I've been in situations where that has happened with me or somebody else. A couple of different officers were over here, local deputies once, and firing 1911, took a few shots with it, and that was their carry gun. So, I'd say you want to clean that a little bit, at least clean off the ramp, because some 1911s are not quite as reliable in terms of the feeding ramp as others, and just make sure that part of it's nice and clean. Okay, and then depends again on how anal you want to be about it, and get it cleaned down in there, and then wipe off the rails. Just wasn't too much on there. Looks pretty good. And then just to make sure it's lubricated, of course you can hit the rails with a little ballastol. Where you got all your moving parts that are concealed, that might attract dirt. Like, I don't like to get a lot down in here in the mechanism and the springs. There's not a reason to get a lot of oil down in there. So I try to, you notice I don't just take off spraying like crazy right there. Same with the Glock. Okay, so we're well lubed right there, I think. It's pretty good. Okay, so that frame is basically, it's clean enough for me. Okay, because I will shoot this gun at some point before too long. All right, so that's pretty good shape. Don't worry about making a mess. The slide's in pretty good shape, and it's even lubed. I don't think I put any back there in those locking grooves. There we go. Like a little oil in there. That's where your barrel locks up. See, it matches up there. Your grooves right there in the slide, and it locks there. So I like a little lube there. All right. Now, the critical parts, kind of critical. Over here, the barrel is a big one. I'll take a look at it as I'm working on the gun, and I'll make sure it's really soaked down well, the link, all of it. All right. And everything here is pretty good shape, I think. Let's wipe off the guide rod here. Now, this whole process is a little different if you have a full-length guide rod. I don't like full-length guide rods, to be honest with you. I don't think they're really that necessary. You might. A lot of guns have them. A lot of 1911s have them, especially high-end competition guns and that kind of thing. I had one I used in competition for a couple of years that had it, and I hated it. It was difficult to take it down, and I couldn't tell any difference in accuracy, to tell you the truth. So the barrel bushing. Again, I'm mainly cleaning it, and I'm not trying to get all the ballast off other than just trying to clean it, and then I'm going to put some more back on it. Okay, so I put a little on the guide rod, the slide lock, very good. Now you notice all that's pretty much ready to put back together except the barrel. It's been soaking. I usually save it for last. I want it to soak the longest, and then I'll get a patch or two here and run through it. I tend not to use the bore snakes on handguns so much. Just have been known to on occasion, but I still kind of old school with that. Use the old rods and just run through. See, a little gritty there. See, we actually did shoot this this gun, and the barrel shows that. There we go. This solution I use is a great preservative and everything. It really does a good job, and I get them pretty clean. I think I've told you before, I don't sit here and run patch after patch after patch after patch through here, 40 patches, until I absolutely cannot find any brown lubricant coming through there. You know, I don't do that because I know the ballast will take care of it, even at this point. If I didn't, as long as I keep the barrel dampened with that stuff. I do the same with my muzzle loaders. That's the beauty of it. I don't worry about every little last patch being perfectly white, because it's not going to rust, it's not going to deteriorate. It's going to just stay right where it is, even if it's a little bit dirty, as long as I've neutralized all the acids and everything with the ballast. So that's getting pretty good there, isn't it? Okay, and that's close to where I'll just leave it, because it's going to be, what I will do often before I shoot a firearm, I'm going to talk about that another time too, is I check the bore and I'll run a patch through it most of the time before I bring it out here. Make sure there's not like lube just hanging in there, but I like to leave guns coated with lube, especially the lube I use, because it's kind of a penetrating lube, cleaner lube. That's a different thing. I don't mean to be selling it. Everybody likes their lube, and there's a lot of good ones out there. Okay, that's not too bad, is it? I can live with that. All right, and it's it's definitely coated in there. And then I'll wipe the barrel off. Make sure it's clean enough to suit me, because you do get a lot of crud around there and around the link, everything. And it's been soaking for a good while, so it's just a matter of really wiping it off. All right, and then before I put it back together, I'll make sure there's lube on that thing. Doesn't hurt a bit. Okay, doesn't hurt a thing. All right, I believe that's about it. The spring usually doesn't get that dirty. I'll just wipe it down, spin it on a paper towel or something. My pants, my dress pants, just clean it, dry it. Okay, there we go. Now, I have no idea how to put this thing back together. Maybe you all can do that for me. Get John to do it. All right, some of the junk out of the way. I think I got it pretty clean. All right, take the slide, the barrel, unlike a Glock, I tend to want to stick it in there like with a Glock, which you have coming from the front. Barrel link down, and let's run the plug in there, through the bushing. Now, if you've never messed with one of these, the bushing will only go in one way. It's got a little slot in there. You turn it over here to that point, and then spin it back. The way that works, let me get the spring out and show you that. It will only go in one way, and it's mortised out. You see the little knob on it there? So it's not a big deal. You just right in, it locks right there. Locks kind of open. And one thing I didn't put in was the guide rod. Usually I guess I stick it in this way. And get your little cup there, goes down against that. And I have more success if the link is down. Okay, it's easier to line up and get the slide lock back in. All right, you can put that on if you want to at this point. Now, usually this just goes right back together, and it's funny, sometimes, like 1 out of 10, you'll slide together and you have trouble getting that slide lock back in. But usually, when I do this, turn it upside down, it's lined up. Get away, fly. Fly must like the ballast stall. And that did it. Pretty good. Okay, then you line up the little notch again, because this will not go in unless you do that. Now you'll notice that on a lot of 1911s, there's a scratch right here, and that comes from just turning that up against the gun. And you notice I don't think I've done that. Of course, this is an older gun. I bought it new, so I got a little bit. So it's just destined to happen eventually. But a lot of guns, even new ones, I'll have an ugly scratch right there. Okay, a circular scratch. So lift that out just a little bit and get it up there, and then push on that little tube plunger, and sometimes it's a little bit of a trial and error. You disconnect. There we go. Make sure we're all the way down. There we go. And hold my mouth right. And see if we can pop him in there. Like I said, 1 out of 10 times. She'll sometimes, let me tap it a little bit. Let me just take it out now. Make sure. Oh, I see. You see, I don't know if you can see in that hole there, it wasn't lined up perfectly. It looked like it was, but when I pulled that out partially, it got off track there. There, now it's in. Okay, not too big a deal. And then I lock that back. We're kind of back where it started, right? Because I've got to get this the plug back on there, back over the recoil spring. And we're just doing in reverse order. You know, the barrel bushing is where we left it. Push this down in. Carefully, not putting your eye over it, and bring it back around, and back in business. 1911, magazine in, nice clean gun. You notice I got oil on it, and so what? It doesn't matter. Again, it's like an AR-15. You're better off to run it, if you're going to air, probably better off to air, from everything I understand and read, on the side of being a little wetter than you'd like it, a little more oily than you would maybe think it should be if you're going to air. Okay, air on that side of it. And it's better for the firearm. It'll function better, be more reliable, and feels good. So we have a gun that's clean. That's the way I do it. It's worked for me for a long time, for I don't know, 30 years or more that I've had 1911s. And you may do it differently. You probably use a different lube, a lot of you, and maybe even a different approach to it. And I might be doing it a way that's a little more awkward than what you do. I don't know. But I'm probably not going to change, because that's what I've been doing for a long time, and it works for me. I don't have to think about it too much, and anytime I don't have to think, that's always good for me. So, hope you got a little bit out of that. Good old 1911s. There's a lot of them, but they're all basically the same, aren't they? That's why we love them. And they just work, and they're not that hard to clean. Hopefully you got something from that. Life is good.